Hello and welcome back to the Quantum Health Connection podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Vanessa Bolden, with my amazing co host, Heather Crimson. Today, we have a fun episode for you. We're going to focus on quantum mental health and what that means to us, and just kind of give you some tips and some pointers about how you can support your mental health through the quantum lens, right? And I think this is such a fun, good episode and a really, really needed episode for sure. And we want to remind you that if you're finding value in our information, to please like, subscribe to the podcast. If you're on YouTube, wherever you're listening, and just, share or review, share it with people who need to hear it, because that helps us, especially written reviews, really help promote the podcast. So we really appreciate that. And we really thank you for being here and being like in our community and on this journey with us and learning with us and all of that. We really value that. So appreciate it.
Absolutely, Vanessa. And I think all of our episodes are so important. They have a lot of value to offer people. So if you
Yeah.
do find value in this, and please leave us up to a 5-star review on both platforms, on Apple and on Spotify. We would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
So in this is very, of course, kind of home base for me because home turf or whatever it's called, because the mental health piece is where I've been hanging out for many years. And shifting gears, though, pretty much my practice is down to like just very handful of people, because it's definitely an interesting arena to be in. I've gone from, my trauma years, I would call them, Vanessa, to all the schooling that I did starting in 1998 when I
Mm,
was getting my done to go into grad school for my master's in counseling. And then just it was a wild journey, let me tell you. So, and then all the practicums I did, right, working with autistic kids and
mm,
families and doing all different kinds of parenting stuff from attachment based to PCIT. I mean, I did so many different things. I worked with teenagers in a residential locked facility. Talk
mm.
about hard. That was really hard. Then,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. Then I worked then that's when I worked with the 0 to 5 program, so infant mental health. So I've kind of seen the whole developmental spectrum. I've worked with people who are, over in their 80s. So it's like a wide array of topics I've worked in. And then my last 15 years were in private practice. So,
Mm,
and I'm phasing out. I'm like semi-retired now. So this is a really big field for me, near and dear to my heart. And I specialize in somatic trauma work and then working emotionally focused therapy for couples.
mm,
And I have an awful lot to say about it. So I got to think about what is the most essential thing I want to say today, is that it's not just mental health, right? It's health in general. And it's interesting how we've bifurcated like physical health from mental health. And the quantum aspect of it is we're wanting you to see this holistic lens of that it's not just like mental is divorced from the physical and the biological. It's all one thing. It's all the same thing, and it's all about energy. And it's
mm,
that do our and the energy is about not just our cellular energy, and then we have enough energy for our neurotransmitters to work and all those things. It's that, are we connected to our own life force? And that's your heart, your soul, and the bigger, right? The bigger picture, right,
mhm,
Vanessa?
mhm. Yes, 100%. I think that's the main thing we need to drive home today, is that it's not just about the mental health. So it's not just about the anxiety or the depression. Everything is connected. We are so siloed. We think everything is so separate. And I think that is a huge piece. And that's why it's quantum, like it's quantum mental health, because it is all connected. Right? So it's not just about our mind or brain chemicals. We are all connected, right? So it's mental health is we're looking at it through the lens of just like, yes, our energy, our cellular energy, yes, our frequencies that we're having, but it's also ancestral things, and it's also so many things. It's just it's all interconnected. It's like we were talking the other day. It's that yes and, right? It's so many pieces to the pie, right? So I think that that's the biggest, most important piece that we really need to hammer home, that it's not just about what's happening in the mind, it's about what's happening in the whole body, but also the spirit. I mean, it's about whether or not you're following your passion and purpose. It's about whether you're living in alignment. It's about so many things, right? So it's that big shift to me, that's the most important thing that we need to mention when we're talking about mental health. And honestly, it is about energy, in the fact of also cellular energy, because we need enough energy to move through emotions, and we need enough cellular energy. If we're really depleted, we're going to have a much harder time having a balanced nervous system and having the ability to move through emotional things that are tough, right?
Yeah.
So that depletion of energy is really important on that physical layer as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the quantum aspect is like, yes, you have the spiritual, emotional, which, inevitably, invariably, a lot of times in therapy, that's where we're going to end up, right?
Mhm.
And people don't, it's hard for people to accept that. It's like, can't, isn't there just a drug I can take? And that's why the pharmaceutical industry is making so much money. And I think that's really barking up the wrong tree, so to speak. But it's really about having the energy to feel calm and soothed in your body and to be able to engage with your reality in a way that you're coming from your highest self versus you're in survival mode. And so, because of the way nature of our collective, reality right now, a lot of people are in survival mode because they're having to hustle to work 9 to 5. They don't have time for themselves, the kids, they don't have time to take care of their health. They can't get out and ground, they can't get good lighting. I mean, it's like, yes, of course you're going to be in survival mode. So we collectively need a whole, we need a whole shift
Big
around all
shift.
that,
Big shift.
big time. But the thing is that if you have enough energy, then you're not inflamed. A lack of energy is going to lead to inflammation. And then that's where everything gets out of balance. And then unfortunately, the system, what my beef with the mental health industry is that not, no, therapists are well-meaning. It's like, a lot of times you're kind of handicapped and constrained by and this is a political thing, and I know it, by the licensing board and the ethics, and here's the standard of practice, and da, 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 and you have to refer someone for a med-eval. Like, I have a big problem with that. Just because
Mm.
someone's depressed and they're in grief, why are we giving them medication for that? We should be supporting them and giving them acknowledging their grief, giving them permission to grieve, allowing people to have time and space to do that. But our unfortunately, the way we've created our reality doesn't necessarily allow for that. But also the stigma of emotion is so huge that I think a lot of people have affect phobia and they're so conditioned to think they're weak if they have emotion. It's like total bullshit. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but it is total bullshit. I'm not sorry. And so I was thinking about all the ways that we buffer, Vanessa, when we have emotion. And buffering is like we try to back off from our emotion. We try to, push it back down. We smile when we're saying something really horrible. It's like obviously
Mm.
there's a disconnect
Or
there. That's
we giggle.
exactly.
Yep. Hmm.
Exactly. That's all cultural conditioning of like emotion is scary, bad, get rid of it. We're being disconnected from ourselves. We're being disconnected from source. We're being disconnected from God, however you want to look at it. And we don't have permission to be human, for God's sakes. And so here's one example of like, you see this all the time, like when you're watching a video on Instagram and people are like, and they have emotion, they cover their mouth. It's like in what I call natural cultures, they have they have like or they have they are saying, I mean not saying, but they're what's the word, the emoting is through their voice. And
Yeah, it's part of the healing. The emotion that
yeah,
is part of the healing. Like
yes,
when we had Emily on, right? Dukes, who was talking
yes,
about
you
that.
guys,
Like that emotion is coming out through their vocals and their voice, and that is a part of actually how they move through it, right?
yeah, but how many times do you actually see people doing that? Never,
Never.
because we constrain it. Or maybe in the movies once in a while, which I never watch movies, but we constrain it. We will I've had people in my office when I was doing in-person therapy in my office, nobody around. It's like an office just by itself in a house. And I'm like, there's nobody around. Even with that permission, even with that level of safety, it's me witnessing them. Oh my gosh, another human, right, is going to see me in this super vulnerable state.
Yeah.
Who moans? Nobody moans. I think we need to moan as women, especially. It's like not in a sexual way, but that's great too. But like we need to
In
moan
most
our grief.
ways.
Well, yeah, we need to moan our grief. We will go like this. We will go like, how many people do this? There's so
Really
much
high.
shame around. Shame.
Shame around the fact that I'm
Yes.
having an emotion. That's what that
Yes.
That's
Yes.
so sad. I've not really thought about that in depth like that, like as much as you probably, but now I'm like, oh yeah, it totally makes sense. And it is because of there's no time for that. There's no capacity for that. There's no resilience for that. It's just like with an acute illness, right? Oh, we have to get right back to work. We don't have time. Same thing with grief, same thing with any kind of emotional thing. Oh, you just got to push it back under the carpet and shove it under there because we have things to do because life is too busy to deal with that, right? It's the
Yes.
same kind of thing, and that's so sad. And it's like we've talked a million times here about suppressed emotions and how that leads to disease in the body. Like we're always, I mean, honestly, I think it's one of the main root causes, and it's like
Yes. Think about all the
I-
energy being backed up. It's backed up right
Mhm.
down here. So you got the gynecological problems. I understand light is a part of it. I get that, and non-native EMFs and all the things and bad diet. But seriously, the
Yeah.
emotion, all that stuck energy is pushed back down into us. All the tension that's created in this, in our chakras, like, come on. So it's right there. We cannot, and grief, I think, is one of the biggest ones. So, we can be angry, but that anger needs to drop into grief usually when you have a lifetime of collection of, emotions that haven't been expressed because of all the reasons we're talking about, right? So you have to feel safe to be able to emote. And the other thing is I know we're all over the place, you guys, forgive us, but it was like, I'm so passionate about this, is that we do need to be witnessed at some point. If it's a relational trauma, you're not going to heal that 100% on your own. A relational trauma requires a relational safe other to witness you in order to really work through that and release that whatever was stored in your body of not being safe in the past. So,
Yes, no, you do need to be witness. But yeah, what you're saying too about where it gets stuck in us is so important too. But I feel like we need to learn, like, bring back being expressive and sharing what we feel, like, and allowing our kids to see that. Heather and I, we were just talking about right before we got on, like how I really got like it's okay that my kids see me get angry in a healthy way. Like, that is okay. And I think that we as a culture were like shaming it, that anger is bad. I mean, I thought of that before too. And that your tears are bad, especially if you're a male. I mean, 100%, right? That's bad. Don't do that. Don't cry. Move on. But like, I think we need to be like bringing that back and being like, no, this was a boundary violation. This was something that wasn't acceptable, and allowing that anger to express, but not in a way that you're harming another person, of course, ever. That's not what I mean, but allowing you to express it. I went upstairs yesterday and marched up the stairs because I was so pissed off. The grunt and yell that came out of me was so deep and primal, like from probably my sacral region, like just like so mad. And I just like really yelled, like, you cannot fake that shit. Like,
no.
that's gonna come out when it needs to. Like, you can't be like, oh, I'm just gonna yell at a yell and just try to like let it come out. No, like, it doesn't work because I've tried, but like, I was just like, when it comes out like that and it's so authentic and real, and my kids were like, whoa, mom is mad. But that's okay. And
Yeah, but they need to witness that. Sorry to interrupt you. They need to witness that.
yeah,
We're not going to get out the bataka, that bullshit in the 60s. Like, no, that's not helpful. We're gonna be angry on purpose. No, no, no. It has to be organic. It has to be natural in the moment. And the thing is here's the thing. It tells them what really matters. Oh, you got his attention by, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I really shouldn't be acting that way. So that is what he needs to get that message of whatever he was doing, whatever kind of cockiness he was giving you is like, that's not okay. And he was disrespecting you. He's disrespecting the family. This is
mhm,
a healthy use of, right? You're not modeling it for him on purpose, but that modeling that you did organically, he's getting the message of like, I think I crossed a boundary here because
right,
my
exactly.
mom is really angry and whoa, I need to back up. I need to calm myself down here.
Yeah, exactly. And he needs to know that then that's okay. And that's not okay when he's in his own relationships in the future, when he's a husband and he's a man and he's in the world. Like, he needs to know that it's not okay, right? That that's not the right way to behave. And we need to change that and shift that and act accordingly, right? And by you having your own, I guess, your boundaries, when you feel like it's crossed, you are going to have release anger, and you should release anger when your boundaries are violated and crossed. That is what should come out through that. That is the right reaction. I
Yes.
feel like that when your boundaries are crossed, you should release anger. And a couple of months ago, I'd say 6 months ago, before the remedy I took, I was not like, if somebody, my boundaries are crossed, I just was keeping it all inside, and that's not healthy. So
Ooh. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a lot. Think of all it's well, the energy that you release, that then that gets stored inside of you.
Oh,
Think of
100%.
that intensity level that we are, even if you think you're fine, it's like, oh, I'm fine. I'm just going about my day. No, no, no. You
No.
don't realize that your fascia is literally holding on to, for you, all
Tightness.
that energy, and you get tighter and tighter, or as things start malfunctioning, there's blockages in your energy and your fascia. No, you're not fine. And don't tell me you're fine. Right? So shout out, yeah, to homeopathy. Absolutely, you guys. This is
Yeah.
the remedy you took, helped unlock whatever it was in your body that wasn't able to start to move out some of these emotions and express yourself fully.
I honestly, I feel like when the energy of the person becomes very weak, and that could be the vital force, that could be, you could think of it as like the mitochondria, whatever, like something was keeping me really weak, and I was like, I was too depleted to even express the anger, or I was too like, just it felt like too much. Like I'm like, oh my God, I just can't even go there. Like that's how it felt.
Yeah.
Like it just was like, I'm just can't right now, you know? And now it doesn't feel that way. Like all of a sudden I'm stronger and be like, oh no, I'm freaking pissed. Like, like, and it's good. Like I find it as a really good thing. Like, so
Something got unlocked, so that's fantastic. But also shout out to our colleague Kelly Croft. She does amazing work. She talks a lot about values and anger and shame and fear and all that. Which is
yeah,
fantastic. And
yeah,
your boundary, your values were violated. Like something your kiddo
yep.
did was like, that's not okay. That's a value and a boundary violation, right?
Yeah. And
Yep.
then she always is talking about, which we're going to have her on the podcast again soon, which I think is so important to talk about, is that underneath those boundary violations and the anger is always the shame and the guilt, always underneath that, which I think is when you can't access that if you're not getting angry. Like you just can't even access it. So I think that that's pretty powerful, and we'll definitely chat with her about that when she comes on, because I
Absolutely.
think see that correlation 100%,
Mm-hmm.
100%. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, so this is like, I think why it's not just about like reaching for the pharmaceuticals, which we're not about, because that's just suppressing them, and then this is suppressing everything anyway, right? If you have anxiety or depression, you take these pharmaceuticals and all of a sudden you're better. You haven't really solved the problem. You didn't solve anything, right? You're
Yeah.
not, it's not just about that. And it's not, I still think, I know, I don't know. We'll see what Heather says. Like, I still think there's a value to talk therapy, like, of course, and that it can help, with patterning and awareness and understanding and, all that. But I think that the real deep work is more quantum. It is more working with frequency, vibration. It's, reconnecting with yourself, nature, healing like old ancestral patterns. I think that's more of the real deeper work that needs to be done.
Oh
Mm.
yeah, absolutely. I think there's absolutely merit to talk therapy. I think you need to just be very clear on what it is you want to accomplish because the standard sort of run-of-the-mill thing is that you're just going to go in and you're going to talk and it's going to be this conversation every week. Well, that's nice to be witnessed, but if you
Mm.
want deeper work, right? It's not just about you have mutual goals and that kind of stuff. It's like, what do you really want to shift in your being? And that has to include the body. So there's a somatic piece to it because our emotions happen in our body. And
Mhm.
and then if you have any, which is a lot of people in therapy, right? Let's be honest, I'm sure it's like 90%, you have some relational stuff that the injuries and wounds and so forth. You have to be able to look at it from the lens of attachment
Mm.
and from the lens of relationship and be working in the I thou relationship with the therapist. So that requires a whole much higher level of training, higher level of personal development on the therapist part. So it's really important to do your due diligence in finding somebody and understanding how they work and what they do and a little bit around that philosophy of those approaches.
Yeah.
So it's really powerful to work with somebody who can actually work at that level, which is much more intimate, but
Yeah.
still obviously very professional and knowing how to manage those boundaries. But the therapist isn't going to be a blank slate. They're going to be able to feel you and reflect back that, which is powerful, right? Because some people, this is a tragedy, Vanessa. Some people have never ever been witnessed
Yeah.
in a really deep, authentic way. And authenticity is something we wanted to highlight in this episode because that is when you're actually totally disarmored, but you're still coherent though. You're still right. You're
Mhm.
still able. It's not like you're on the floor. That'd be fine if you're on the floor weeping. But I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
when you're authentic, it's like there's no buffering. You're
Mm.
not trying to pretend. You're aware that you're speaking straight from your heart and you
Mhm.
can feel the difference. And then
Yeah.
being able to be witnessed in that space with whatever you have coming up, whether it's shame, all the things, but you're still accepted. And people say, like, well, but I'm paying you. No, no, no. You're dealing with a real human there who is actually moved by what you're saying. And if you have a really solid working relationship, they can actually share with you that. And can you take it in or not? See, this is how we know how much shame has got you hijacked, which
Mm.
shame is not, you're not born with it. It's all acquired. So it's all relational, right? It's all relational. What I would call toxic shame. There's healthy uses of shame. Vanessa and I were talking about off camera, which
Mhm.
are appropriate to kind of keep people in line, give them the message of how, like, this is where you cross the line. as far as community and tribes go, but to be able to really, because shame hides in secrecy. And we never show certain parts of ourselves to anyone else ever. But that
Mhm.
will run the show subconsciously in the background, right? So if can you be in a therapy situation where you're actually able to talk about the things that you don't want anyone else to know, and the therapist is very skilled at helping you integrate those. And then if you have more extensive attachment trauma, I highly, highly recommend an approach like emotionally focused individual therapy and then emotionally focused therapy for couples. Those are the two things I'd recommend, or some similar attachment based somatic also approach, like sensory motor, that kind of stuff, if you want like really high quality therapy. So I'm totally biased because those are the modalities that I've trained in. But what can I say?
Yeah, well, you should be biased and you know they're effective and powerful. So yeah. So I think therapy is valuable too, for sure. And I feel like I'm not a therapist, but as a homeopath, the amount of times people have told me, wow, I feel like because somebody finally sat and heard their story and listened to them. They're not witness. They don't have the space for that. They never have somebody holding that space and witnessing for that witnessing to happen. Right. So I feel like it's interesting to just see that in the world where we're at, and that's why I think there's such a stigma around therapy. Like some people will say, "Oh, well, you go to," because I've been in therapy for, I've had good therapists and bad therapists for sure, and like I think it's this people will be like, "Oh, that's you shouldn't go to therapy. It's like a stigma. There's something wrong with you," and I'm like, I really feel like breaking that stigma is really important because we all just need to be heard and seen, and a lot. It's really important for us, and you need to be using that as a supportive tool to help us like be aware of like patterns and things and stuff that's going on to support us, right? So I don't think there's no stigma, but I think that most people feel that stigma when they think about therapy. And I think it's important to try to break free of that. And then
Absolutely.
also I know you're going to have something to say about that. I also want to say when you were talking, it also made me think of how we're learning a little bit about flower essences and starting to use those, and we're going to be taking a class in that. And I really think I'm reading a book on flower essences now, and they actually Heather, they work on the subconscious brain, like retraining the patterns in the subconscious brain. And I'm like,
Wow.
that to me is like pretty incredible, and they're infused with light. So like the more I learn about them, the more I'm really excited to help people transmute this like subconscious patterning that they have of maybe I'm not enough or I'm not worthy or whatever it is. There's so many essences for so many different things, and it's just like nature has given us what we need, but we're not attuned to those tools anymore, right? And it's like right there's an essence, that's going to support you in feeling or shifting those patterns. And I think that's pretty cool. So go
I
ahead.
want so much to learn more about flower essences. I need to just do it. I'm so triple Gemini. I'm all over the place. Like, oh, I'm reading about this. I'm reading about that. So I need to just dial that in because that to me, I mean, there's a lot of quantum modalities, and I think anything can be quantum in any moment. But if we want to be more specific, like flower essences, they're just like collecting all that light energy of love and God, and you're using the different subtle variations of those to effect, changes inside of yourself. I mean, how magical. That's amazing. I was going to say about therapy though, like if you find a really good coach, same thing, you can get a lot of the same benefit. I think some of these labels sometimes, it's like kind of
Yeah.
annoying, but I understand when you're dealing with serious mental health issues like psychosis and extreme bipolar, all that, stuff, which I've dealt with. And then people who are really suicidal, like those are the only times I would say like medication, okay, fine. You know what I mean? To keep them from killing themselves or someone else, that's important.
Mm.
Short of that, right? I think we should all be prioritizing things like we're talking about with circadian rhythm, number one, getting adequate light, all the things, right? Decent diet, da da da. Um, and then we talk about the relational aspect, which I think is huge. I think we really under recognize in our culture. So, especially for women, men too, but I think women especially need healthy community. Absolutely, in order to be able to feel like like they're seen and witnessed. It's so important, and they can have their emotional expression. I'm not
Mm.
talking about bitching. I'm not talking about kvetching. None of that stuff. It's more like, I need to share my heart with you, and this is where I'm hurting, and da da da. And then the women are held in the group. That's when I really experienced, wasn't in therapy, Vanessa. It was when I did some work with, shout out again, amazing. She is a therapist, but she does a lot of coaching. I don't even call it coaching. She's more like a way shore, and so forth. But because coaching, it's not the right word for what she does, to be honest. It's
Yeah.
totally different. So Jenny Glick is fantastic. I highly recommend women, all women check her out. She's got new offerings right now. If you have any kind of struggles in your marriage or relationship or anything, any struggles with relationships at all, go check her out. But when I went to her retreats, and Vanessa already knows all this, but I went to three because it was so good. And that's where I finally was able to shed a lot of shame around certain things. And
Mm,
so some of these women I had been with in the two other workshops. So it was really a nice, safe place for me. It was still very challenging for me. But so it doesn't have to be therapy, you guys.
yeah.
Quantum mental health, it's about the whole thing. And a
Mhm.
lot of times we need to be in a group in order to feel seen and or have the experience of being accepted, even when these women know your biggest shadow stuff, okay? And they're still sitting there eating with you the next couple hours, and you're like, I'm okay. So you're right. The top struggles that people have about themselves is they're not good enough, there's something wrong with them, they're not worthy, right? And so we have to have experiences that make us feel like we're okay as a human being. And you're not going to get that just going to work every day. Like you have to put yourselves in containers, whether therapy is a container or some kind of groups. And yes, I understand it's expensive. That was the best investment I could have made in myself.
What a
Just
beautiful experience you
so
had. That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. So finding a way to make it happen is really important.
Yeah, yeah, it's worth it. You're worth it. That's for sure. And I would also say like people don't think about mental health and mitochondrial health. Like we're not making that connection, but it is a big connection because the health of your mitochondria is going to dictate the health of your mental health in a big way. So we have to realize that like it's all about the light. I mean, everything we talk about on this health is about mitochondrial in on this podcast is about mitochondrial health. So we're talking about the light, we're talking about the food, the toxins, the non-EMFs, but it's also of our community. But our mitochondria are these like, they're like they create our energy, right? And if they're under too much stress from toxins, from poor light, from non-native EMFs, from, poor diet, all the things, the brain's not enough energy and it's not going to be able to regulate emotions, handle stress, right? Move trauma, stuck energy, stuck emotions. It's all going to stay stuck and stagnant if the body just does not have enough of that energy, like we mentioned before. So our emotions are really energy in motion, and we are designed to like move and release and move feelings throughout the system. Like if they stay stuck and they have these knots, they are going to create that block in the energy flow is the best way to describe it, right? So we have to tend to the health of our mitochondria by doing all of the things that we say all the time with the foundational stuff. And that will shift the mental health also in a big, big way if we're doing those things, right?
Yeah, I think so many people think they're depressed. They're just low energy, which that is a sign of the one of the criterion
Mm.
for depression. But it's like, come on, let's look at it. That's why I stopped.
So
I
depleted
in
also.
my practice when I was really engaged in my practice, it's like I wouldn't even take people who were just depressed and they didn't want to do, I put my whole website was like mitochondria because it's like, come on, let's look at the foundation of your electrical system, right? Which is circadian rhythm and mitochondrial light and all those things. And if people aren't willing to like at least do something around that, it's like I felt unethical even working with them. So that's
Right.
what
It's like if you don't have that foundation set, can you really make huge traction?
right.
That's
Yeah,
what you're
because
saying,
people
right?
are going to think there's something wrong with them. It's like, okay, well, there's not really anything wrong with you because what your body's telling you, your symptoms are not wrong. They're there
Mhm.
for a reason. And then,
Every time.
so they're telling you that you're low energy. And we need to attend to those and do something to help your body feel better versus there's something wrong with me. I need a pill to fix it. That's all that I would hear. And that when that's all that mental health world has to offer, I have a huge ethical problem with that.
Oh, me too. Such a huge problem. In fact, I, I don't know if my dad will love me sharing this story, but I'll share it really quickly. Sorry, Dad. He had gone to see, he was dealing with some sort of, anxiety, depression, things like that. And he'd gone to see somebody, and it was like all they wanted to do was talk about the different meds that they could give him. And it was like, I'm like, that's not a therapist session. That's not going to help. That's not, what is that even doing? Like, it's just thinking as like a chemical imbalance and shifting the chemicals. That's not it. And honestly, I will say this, it was after he had this kind of anxiety depressive state come on after a couple rounds of anesthesia, like three. And
Oh, well,
my
there you go.
mom was the one who put it together. She's like, I think that anesthesia is what really messed him up. And it's such a big suppressive therapy, huge. And who's this? Dr. Rachel Maurice. We had her on the podcast before. She made the connection between the content of fluoride in
Oh,
anesthesia. and then
Yeah.
how
She
much the
used to do
floor
anesthesiology, right?
right. She used to be an anesthesiologist, and how much the fluoride is compromising mitochondrial health, right? So then the energy battery just gets really freaking low. And then all of a sudden, like these deeper levels of imbalances are coming up because the energy's been so compromised. Now, of course, he had to undergo some things. It happens, but he's older. He's 78, you know. But I mean, it's just we have to realize how much all of the things are really interconnected and all of these things are playing a role. It's like just always this yes and, but getting him back to health or anybody who's dealing with this low energy voltage state, the voltage is too low or something has compromised our system. The foundational things are probably, I mean, they are the most important things to do first, right? Get your light right, get connected to the earth, you know, get your grounding in, get, you know, the food in, you know, healthy, whole, real foods at least, you know, set that foundation before you start looking to a medication is my feeling,
Oh
right?
God, yes,
And
absolutely.
it's like people just want to go right for the medication before they're even thinking about that. Now, if you do all those things and you're doing all the things with light and hydration and nature and movement and, you know, trying to regulate your emotions the best you can and you're still feeling not well, well then we got to look at other energy modalities and other deeper things that are going on because it can be ancestral, it can be a trauma block that needs to be shifted, right? But we got to set these foundational things first and get the energy up based on our environmental factors that are incoming, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's so important. And then we need to like work on moving those suppressed emotions. And honestly, the best thing I've seen, and I just set an example in myself, is really homeopathy, that it really is powerful at moving suppressed emotions, I find.
I think that's a godsend because I can't even tell you the amount of people I've heard in and out of therapy that's like the last thing I want to do. Oh, I'm fine. I don't have any suppressed emotion.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well, we don't want to necessarily have to dig for them either. It's going to come up though. It'll come out sideways. So it's anxiety and repressed emotion or unprocessed pain. It's going to come out in anxiety and depression. Even if your circadian rhythm is great, you may still have so much emotion that's in there that needs to come out that you're going to have anxiety and depression. And circadian rhythm is going to help that. So, but that's the last thing people want to do. But you will know if you have unprocessed emotional pain because you're gonna. Here's one example that we've seen is people go from clinician to clinician to clinician to
Oh,
clinician to clinician.
yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, yep, yep. That's just something's going on there where you can't be trusting or you can't really just stick with it. You can't trust the process. You don't trust anybody. Such a lack of trust, I feel like, when they're going from one. I think it really is a trauma response when people just keep shifting from different practitioners to practitioners.
Well, I think that could be one thing, absolutely. And it could also be a lot of it is that they don't want to feel their feelings.
Oh yeah, they don't. Yeah, that's true too. 100%.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna find some kind of, I did that. I met with Morley Robbins. I'm like, well, that was a lot of money. And he told me I needed therapy. I'm like, well, shit.
Well, oh,
I am
well,
a
that's not
therapist,
that
goddammit.
answer, Marley. Tell me the supplements I
And he
need to
was totally
take.
right. Like I mean, he was right. I'm like,
Yeah, I know,
okay.
there's we don't wanna hear that. We don't wanna hear that the tough things. We don't wanna do the hard things. We just want and, you know, this also makes me think about how we were having this discussion between homeopathy being the pill or the portal. And I think that this is a
Oh yeah.
really important conversation to bring up is how you're viewing how you use homeopathy or flower essences or tissue salts or any kind of energetic modality. Is it because I think that people see homeopathy because it is a physical pill that you take or a liquid or a medicine that they take, that they think it as just like allopathic medicine. And it's just like, I'm just going to take this medicine and it's going to make me feel better. Right. And I don't view it as that. I view it as the portal. Like it's going to help you shift to greater awareness and alignment and release things that aren't serving you. It is this shift that helps you see the bigger picture of what's going on that's not serving you. Also, like a lot of times a client will say, I've noticed that, you know, this wasn't serving me and now I'm shifting to this, or I decided I'm going to become a homeopath, or now like they've just shift their whole alignment of what they were, you know, doing in their life. And that, oh, there's relationship is not working for me. I've decided, or something like that, right? Where it's this greater portal that opens the door to like greater awareness, authenticity, and alignment. Like that is how I view homeopathy personally. So I'm not using it when I take a remedy. I'm not like, okay, please just get rid of this physical symptom that I don't want anymore. I'm like, no, like shift the greater picture in me. Help my soul be more aligned, right? In what it
Sometimes
needs.
people are scared to death of that, Vanessa, because it's like, uh-oh, this really isn't the right relationship for me. Now I have to upend my whole life, or uh-oh, I really don't like my job. So see, it's like we can open it up, but then we have to
Yeah.
be able to, then the next step is you have to be able to face it. Then you have to be able to embrace it. Then you're working through to completion or whatever the next phase is. And that's really hard for people. I mean, I'm in there too, you know. It's like hard to deal with some of these things because it's really it can be very stressful.
Also,
And
personally,
that's the catalyst though, or that's the crucible, call it what you want. It's like, here you go. Here's your
mm,
here's your
the
invitation.
catalyst or the crucible, Heather. Oh, I like that one too. Yeah.
And sometimes it has to wait, you know, if you're putting kids through school. I've had so many couples, wow, we got to get the kids through school and then, you know, then we'll see. So there's a lot of times it's just too much for people. And I want to honor and respect that because we have to know our limitations. Like I always thought I could do all the things and then I burned myself out and got chronic fatigue. You know, it's like, oops. So we have to be a part. I think of this whole process of mental health is really getting to know capital S self. Like, who am I?
Oh
You
my
know,
God. Yes.
who am I? It's not like I'm a mom, I'm a teacher. It's no, who are you really? Who's the essence of you? Can you
Mm.
even define that? Maybe not. Like, how do you want to be in the world? That to me is mental health, right?
Hmm.
Are you happy in your relationships? Well, if not, can you be honest about why you're staying in them? And that getting to know you, it always comes back to you. So I want to talk a little bit about this is a great segue to about the victim consciousness. Um,
Mm.
it's a really important one. There's a whole book written on it. Maybe we should put in the show notes. I really enjoyed the book. It's a short one, but it's very powerful. I
What's
didn't
it
agree with
called?
I don't remember. I'll have to look it
Oh,
up. We'll
okay.
put it in the show notes. Menopause, what can I say? I have a great memory. But it's so good. I literally highlighted half the book, Vanessa, because it's about all the ways that we will make ourselves victims. And there's a victim triangle. There's another guy who invented that. It's like you're either the perpetrator, the victim, or the observer or something like that. And those people change positions. But
Mm.
there's like I don't know what it is, and this is going to sound crazy pants, but I really do think that our culture like creates victimhood very easily. You know, I'm not going to say by
Definitely.
design, although who knows, but it's like, you know, we're so passive. We're going to take in TV. We're going to take in the internet. We're going to just like, oh, I can't do anything about it. Oh, I have to work 9 to 5. Oh, I don't have a choice. How many times do people say that? Like, I don't really have a choice. It's like, yeah, you do. Well, I'm like, you can stay in bed all day if you wanted. Well, no, I can't. Well, no, you're choosing to get out of bed. So the more we can flip from, I don't have a choice, I can't do it, to, no, I have a choice as far as everything goes.
Mm.
You're not going to change the color of the sky. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your personal agency, like what you do, how you think, what actions you take, all of those things. That's all the power you have, which is everything, right? So the victim stance is pervasive and we get sort of inculcated with that. So we have to extricate ourselves from that in order to feel like, okay, you are actually a sovereign being.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That I totally agree with all that. We definitely get caught in that victimhood of like, and I mean, I've done it. I've done it. I think I just did it too yesterday. I think we had a conversation yesterday. I said like, this is what it is. Like, I have to still do these things, because I'm a mom and da 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 da.
Well,
Like,
but there's responsibility. Like you're not just going to be a parent who's going to be like, I'm out of here. You know, you are
I'm not
responsible.
gonna just like go to fly to the beach and be like, guys, I need a month break.
Exactly.
See you later. Like
Exactly.
there is a responsibility here, of course, 100%. But we definitely can. That
But wait, so wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you. But the difference is here's it's just being congruent with yourself. Like I'm choosing to stay versus I don't have a choice. I have to do this. It's like, wait a minute. You're choosing
oh
to,
yeah, no, you choose. I choose. Of course,
yeah.
I would choose my family. Yeah, of
Do you
course.
see how much more empowering that is when you say I'm choosing this? It's just a totally different energy. Talking about
Oh,
quantum mental health
100%.
here
Yeah.
versus like I have to stay and I hate this and bar, you know.
Yeah, I just could use a month on a beach just to like recover and like not have any responsibilities. That would be like amazing. I think my body would really enjoy that, but like that's just not a possibility like in like the life that I'm in right
Well,
now.
no,
But of
you're
course,
choosing not to do that because you really could do that and it would be a problem.
right, yes, 100%. 100%. Yes.
Well, but see, it's a different way of looking at it.
It does, and it's a good reframe. I really like that. And I'll tell you what, like I'm telling this remedy that I've taken, I've shared it before. It was carcinosin, and it was a 1M, and it was like it has caused so much shift in me and so much uproar and so much like just like self-reflection and thinking and just like, what do I really want? And like, it's like, I feel like I'm still in a process, even though it's 11 weeks since taking that remedy, but I feel like it's still in a process. And it's just so interesting to see. And I'm just curious of how it's going to unfold because that patterning is coming from, and not just from myself and what's happened to my life, but also from inherited patterning, right? 100%. Like that's why it's causing me so much uproar in my system, because it's working at this such deep, and some remedies work deeper than others, and this one works very deep, and it's just like working at this very, very, very deep level. So it's causing me to question a lot of things, and then like, well, what do I really want to do? And like all these things are just coming through my mind, right? And it's not bad. This is not bad. It's good that I'm thinking about these things, right? But I do want to like frame that for people that sometimes what we're dealing with is inherited, and it is past life or even past life patterns, right? And that's like different traumas or stresses. These things can be passed down energetically to our field, right? And it carries that either fear or shame or perfectionism or that victimhood. We can carry it from our ancestral lineage, right? And I
I think
even
any
wonder.
unprocessed emotion that our parents had, I think we absolutely inherit all that energy.
Absolutely. And unprocessed trauma, all that, right? And it's like, I even like wonder about this, and I've been contemplating with this, Heather. It's like, okay, past life experiences, right? These can be imprinted for sure. And I know I've had past lives, so I know it's not my first rodeo here because I've felt into that energy before. But I wonder, is that past life actually past, or is it happening like in another dimension, like in that like experience, like at another, like that there's no time and space, so it's happening like in real time? Like I have all these like theories.
That begins to be very quantum and very overwhelming, to
I'm
be
sorry, I
honest.
didn't mean to
But
make it like that, but I
no,
really
but I think it's
wonder
a great
that.
question because it's all now, right? So it's
Yeah,
like, oh, if I'm
because there
healing
is
myself now, I'm healing all the past.
right,
Okay,
there is
so
no
yeah,
time and space. And I've
yeah,
actually heard people say, like on a remedy, they're like, my not only did like I change, but my mother changed, or my child changed, and my like so it's like it's because it's all when you're healing you, you're not only just healing you, you're healing the past versions of you, you're healing your child, you're healing your future, but you're also healing, whatever happened to your mom or your grandmother. Like you're also healing all of that, I think personally. And then I also think the more that you strengthen your field, the more it strengthens the weaker fields or the people that you're entangled with. So it supports them also. So it's very quantum, and it is all interconnected, and it just can't not be, because that's just how we are. So it's not just about healing you, it's also about healing the lineage and shifting and transforming things for future generations, right? And that's why
absolutely.
this is why I know I keep going back to homeopathy, because I can't help thinking about it. But I also think you could take of any energy modality, right? All energy modalities in this case, like before having kids, shifting all of that is so powerful. I wish I would have known to do that, right? Because you're going to heal a lot of that trauma and stagnation and move it. And then the kids are going to have less of that when they're born, right? They're not going to have as much of that. And that's why I feel like a medicine like homeopathy can be so powerful to make us a stronger society in the future, right? And it takes
Absolutely.
generations for that to happen. It's not going to be just like one remedy and next, you have a baby and they're going to be completely healed, but there's a lot of stuff that's in the field that we have to heal. And it's like it's in the field, and I know it's in the field because it's like when I work with somebody like Gregory Glick and he's like, "I found this in your field." And I'm like, "Holy shit, that really resonates." And I'm just like, it just, you can't not unsee that stuff when when you feel it, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, like that's amazing to me. And I know I shared a little bit about that before, but like biofield tuning again is you're
Yeah.
working within the field. Like you have a field surrounding you and it has all of this information, right?
Mhm.
It's like,
Yep.
how
All
incredible.
there and available to us at all times.
Yeah, available to us at all times, and we can shift that. And it also makes me think another thing that I learned from Kelly Croft, which I thought was really amazing. And I'm doing it every day, and I think it's very helpful because we can decide what kind of energies are going to affect us. And I'm just
Yes.
physically making a boundary bubble every day and reminding myself that I have this bubble, right? I can protect it, and I can have this boundary bubble, and I can allow and choose what's going to penetrate that bubble and what's not. So
Anything like non-native EMFs too?
yes, yes.
It's
And
amazing.
I've seen work like this where we decide like whether or not that's going to affect us, right? And if we can, the sickest people I find I can relate this back to homeopathy, are the people who are lacking boundaries.
Mhm.
And it's usually those people that everything affects them, right? And it's like everything affects them because they have no boundaries. There's no filter. So we need to all be reminded to like there is a bubble and we can put our body in it and we can decide what's going to penetrate. Like your phosphorus, right? They're the most like they have no boundaries. Everything affects them in all ways, right? And your carcinosin, they're very affected by all the things. And
I
that's
need a remedy for me because I just get so frustrated with the dryer sheets around the neighborhood. That
well,
feels like it
you have
penetrates
a
too much.
boundary bubble. You want to have a boundary bubble and
I
not
need a bubble.
you're not
I need a
allowed.
little plastic bubble. No, I'm kidding. Well,
I was actually bringing this up with my brother and we were talking about it and he's like into all the woo stuff like me and I love that. And he's like, "Well, what about food? Can I say the glyphosate doesn't affect me?" I said, "I don't know if that's actually true because when you're putting a chemical into your body, that you might not be able to energetically just shift that as much. Like if you
yeah, I
drink
don't
coffee,
think
you're
so.
gonna have you're gonna have an effect, right? Like if you drink coffee, there's gonna be an effect there because
Well,
it's
yeah.
so that I think might be different.
Because they say like if you just the state that you eat in, I'm like, I am so happy right now, and this pizza is gonna nourish me, and I'm not gonna have any problems, and then I get sick from it. So I think, guys, let's do a little disclaimer here. Yeah, there are some realities here,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it just depends on where you're at. It depends on where you're at. It depends on all the things that Vanessa and I've been talking about. Let's just do a little disclaimer. I know we're running a little long on time, so we got to kind of wrap it up. But
we're good.
people's attention span. But like, this is just for entertainment and information only, you guys. So if you do need help, I mean, really please seek out somebody you feel like whatever you feel drawn to, listen to your intuition,
Yeah.
really take charge of yourself, right? The invitation is there for you to have agency and to really there's no excuses, right? Please find help. So this is we're just sharing with you our personal experience, and then we're gonna put in the show notes. Why don't we do this, Vanessa? We'll put in the show notes some of our favorite practitioners and
Mm,
resources for
great idea.
conventional and non-conventional. But as far as what we recommend, we've been talking to you guys about that. So if you have any relational stuff, right, like you have a lot of problems in relationships, you have unhealed childhood relational trauma. We'll put who the mentioned I mentioned EFT. We'll put that in the show notes.
Mhm.
And then biofield tuning is what Vanessa just talked about with Gregory Glick. And I'm sure all the biofield people are amazing. He's our favorite. So we had him on the show. I've had biofield tuning with him in person two
Oh,
times,
God.
one time, maybe it was two. I forget. I think it was two.
I've had two
Amazing,
before. Both.
amazing. And then Emily Dukes for sound therapy, vocal toning. That was incredible for the chakras, homeopathy. We think you guys understand that we're big fans of that already.
And I would now add in flower essences as I'm
Flower
learning about that.
essences, cell salts,
Yeah,
absolutely.
tissue salts are more physical. Flower essence is more subconscious brain, which I think is really, really cool.
Cool. Group experiences, either in coaching setting or something like that, or really, really good group therapy, psychotherapy, but you got to seek those people out. And
Hmm.
then I think fascial work is a really under recognized, underutilized way
Go
to
back.
help access. Yeah, the myofascial release is the one I like, and
You
super
told
powerful.
me the John Barnes method, which I
John
think
Barnes method is really, really good.
mentioned that
So,
also.
of course, meditation, breath work, and so forth can be helpful. But I just wanted to put a caution there. Sometimes people with a lot of unprocessed trauma and they have issues with the integration with that, breath work and meditation is not so good. So
Mm.
just be cautious with that, you guys. If it can be actually triggering and destabilizing. So that's not
Mm.
for everyone. I just wanted to point that out. Certainly, we mentioned the circadian rhythm has to be dialed in, and your light exposure has to be healthy. Find ways to work with your emotions. The typical stuff, right, is like journaling and so forth. But any kind of movement is good. Dancing, any kind of
Mm.
like Tai Chi or Qigong, all that stuff is really, really
Yoga,
good.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all very good. Art therapy could be really helpful for people if you get a really good art therapist or doing your own art. Any rhythmic movements is great. You do, Vanessa, you do the what do you call it technically? I forget.
Yeah, rhythmic movements. Yeah, yeah.
It's just called rhythmic movements. That's a whole
Blomberg,
modality.
yeah, yeah, Blomberg rhythmic movements, and that those are really great. I think those are really. I know when I do them, I feel a shift in the way that I feel when I like stick to doing them, and they're so helpful. I mean, it's just there's also shaking to remove trauma, but it's another way to like move things, through the body.
Absolutely.
So
Anything with your body that feels like you're being with your body is super, super helpful because we just ignore our bodies. it's just kind of following us along. We're dragging it around. It's like really bad for us. So we need to be with our bodies and partner with our bodies and have more awareness of our bodies. So anything that prioritizes your own joy and
Mm.
that you're that's play for you, that's healthy play, not partying, not talking about that or super competitive stuff, but just like playful, light, you're frolicking. That is really, really helpful to your
Mm.
whole being. Anything with nature, being outside, super helpful. Resting more. We have this weird thing about I have to be productive all hours of the day. It's total bullshit. Rest, people, rest. We need more rest. We're not designed to be going all the time, 24/7, 365. You need enough
Exhausting.
sleep and you need to be, we did a go back to our podcast. It was just the last one or two, or I don't remember when it's going to drop, but we did one on winter. That's your time to get more rest and sleep. It's amazing. I love it. I'm already going to bed earlier.
Me too.
Um, can you hear me? It says it's not connected.
Oh, I hear you. Am I
Okay,
good?
good.
You
Yeah,
good?
you're good.
Okay.
So, but Whole Foods, of course, and then knowing your values and standards. So there's all of these things that you can do to elevate your mood and feel like you're a healthy whole person and not just a shell of a person is going through the motions every day, living in survival mode.
Yeah, oh my God, 100%. And I would just want to add to that, just also move towards which one of these things resonates with you. But I think set the foundation with the light, the circadian rhythms is very important for everybody to do. But otherwise, move to the things that resonate with you. Like I really resonate with the biofield tuning, homeopathy, of course, the myofascial release. I really love that when I do it. I love the rhythmic movements. I love journaling. I love to do like intentions and a dump. I love a dump journal to just like let all my stuff out. I think it's so healthy. It really helps me. I love nature. I love music. I love movement. Nature, music, and movement are medicine for me in so many ways. Like it really is. And that's me personally. Might not be your medicine. So it is also important to like find those things that you really resonate with and that you really feel called to. You might love art. I actually do love art too, actually. I just don't do it as much, but I do love to paint. But that can be your medicine, like whatever it is, right? Maybe it's dancing, maybe it's shaking, whatever. Like you've got to like just find those things that really make you feel good because that's your body's signal telling you that it's good for you, right? Like
Exactly.
your
Yeah. It
body's
wants more of
best,
that. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
then like change like these small little shifts in your daily routines and habits actually ripples out to massive transformation. It really, really does. Like I am literally not the same person I was 5 years ago. Like in every way, I'm a totally different person, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in all ways. So it's like your daily habits and routines and thought patterns, they are shaping you, into
Absolutely.
that you are. So they can really, really make huge, huge differences, right?
The
So
other takeaway I want people to have, Vanessa, is that emotions are not the problem.
mm,
Emotions are not a problem. They are vital messengers from
yeah.
your soul about what matters to you in life, what is good, not good. You have to have your emotions, and if people can get out of the line of thinking that they're the problem, they're not the problem. They're the messengers, and they inform you where you're out of alignment with your soul. They inform you as to your longings. We just need to be able to be with our deep, vulnerable emotions that are the truth versus the reactive emotions, which I
Mm,
call protection. When you don't deal with your emotions, you're going to have the what we call reactive emotions.
yes.
I don't like the word negative emotions because I don't think any of them is like negative. It's the behavior that you use in response to them that can be a problem. But
Mm,
the protective emotions are telling you that you have other more softer emotions that need to be addressed. That's all that it is. So be able to make friends with your emotions is going to take you really far as your mental health and your overall health. So
yeah. And I would also add that you're not broken. Like
no,
so many people just feel like they're so broken and they're blaming themselves and shaming themselves. And that's not true at all. It's just that you're carrying maybe patterns that need to be transformed. Your environment needs some shifting, right? There's modalities out there that are going to really support you and can help you move through all that, right? And that your mental health is not like a problem that needs to be fixed. It's really about working with the energy of your body, your environment, and the patterns that are in your field, right? So it's possible to you're not broken, and I really do believe we're infinite potential and that anything can be solved. It's just really about realigning, retuning, recalibrating the system, and there are many different catalysts to do that we mentioned in this episode, right? So
yeah. So if you'd like to work with me, feel free to check out my website or find me on Instagram at Heather Crimson. And I help people through whatever you want to call it, coaching or just, circadian work. But basically, you know, I do a lot of the same things I would be doing in therapy because, you know, I don't work under my license because it's only for California. So I do a lot of the healing work through the method of coaching. So you can always schedule with me there.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm here for one-to-one support, whether it's one-to-one coaching. I do a lot of nervous system work in that as well. It's not therapy, but it's, it's kind of like that in a way, in a lot of ways. And we work on,
Therapeutic. It's therapeutic.
thank
Yeah.
you, it's therapeutic. And it's getting the person's energy restored. It's healing the voltage, right? We're doing that first. We're setting all the foundational things that we're always talking about, but you have a guide to support you through all that. I do the nervous system work. I do homeopathy. I'm starting to, learn about flower essences and starting to use them with clients. So there are lots of different things we can do to support our mental health. And yeah, it's just, there are many ways that we can support you. So we're here for you. Of course, homeopathy, we're here for. So yeah, I think that we covered it all, Heather. If you guys have any questions, comments, let us know. Let us know what you want to know more about, what else you want us to dive deep into. We're definitely going to do a flower essences episode one day, Heather. So I want to
Okay.
definitely chat about that one day with the group because
Sounds good.
I feel like it's a, and I read that about it shifting the subconscious brain. I'm like, oh, we need to add
Yeah.
that into this. This is
We'll
good.
do that. Look forward to that, you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.